airborne troops. What he's carrying on him is a K98. About 350,000 were made in different countries, ranging from Yugoslavia to Czechoslovakia to Germany. It required a 5-bullet stripper clip, which he will demonstrate how it's fired. Up in the air that way. Here's loud. And yes, they did jam once in a while. Every clip was 5 rounds, which was 8mm. Every soldier needed to know how to shoot, but they were very proficient in that because most of the time you had to hunt for your meals. So, that's the K98. The next man coming up has a Gewehr 43. He will explain the details.
This is the Gewehr 43 rifle. It was produced by Germany as a semi-automatic rifle in response to encountering the Russians' SVD-40 over on the Eastern Front. They went through a couple different variations of semi-automatic rifles before they got to this one. Used the same gas system, used a short-stroke gas piston system still used today, which they pretty much copied from the Russian one. Big differences here compared to even the American ones. Has a 10-round detachable box magazine. The standard person who's issued one of these would be given 3 magazines and keep 2 on the belt, 1 in the rifle. The other side is carry your standard K98 pouch. Use the exact same ammo as the previous rifle that you saw, which is nice. I run out of ammo because I'm going to shoot a little bit quicker than them. They can toss me a stripper clip and I can use those in here instead of magazines. About 300,000 of them were produced in slightly variations depending on the manufacturer and the time of the war. You can see here it looks like a little roughly done. However, the internals are still finely milled as any rifle should be. But because you want to get a lot out as fast as you can, they kind of skimped on a couple of the areas. However, it does not affect functionality at all. A lot of them were made with some were made with a threaded barrel and also a sight rail on the side. The idea was they wanted to put suppressors on. That pretty much never really happened. But about 40,000 of them were issued with a scope, which I'll show you in a little bit. That goes on the side rail here for a designated marksman rifle or for a sniper.
Is that like a carbine version of a rifle?
It's a full length rifle. I think the barrel might be like 2 inches shorter than your K98. But they just wanted something semi-automatic to try and catch up with what everyone else was doing.
Like the American Bar?
What's that?
Kind of like the American Browning automatic rifle? The response to that?
More response to the Russians than the Americans. They were fighting them before the Americans introduced them to the M1 Garand. Yeah. Alright, everyone cover your ears. After the last round, the bolt holds open to the rear like so. So you can take out your magazine, put in a fresh one. Like I was saying with the scopes, they would issue a little 4-power scope like this, just slides nicely onto the side, locks into place. The hold is 0 if you take it on, off. Nice little GM rifle. The idea was they kind of wanted to give everybody it, kind of like you have nowadays in modern militaries where everybody has an optic.
That's an interesting addition to the G43. A lot of the G43s were made in concentration camps. You can tell which were and which weren't by the stampings on the side of the receiver. But when you're going to buy one of those, you kind of want to stay away from the ones that were made in the camps because they're purposely made poorly. Okay, we know why, right? They didn't want to make a weapon.
All right, next up we have the primary submachine gun used by the German military, the MP40.
I'm Sturman Joachim Schneider, the 17th SS Panzer Grenadier Division. Right here I'm holding an MP40. Can anyone tell me what MP40 stands for? Machine Pistola. It's a submachine gun, fires full auto, 9mm cartridges. It has a 32-round magazine, and the 40 stands for 1940 production. Before this, they made the MP38, which looks absolutely identical, but it's a different construction. It's a steel construction. It's a very fine machine gun, but was costly to produce and time-consuming. So they switched over to the MP40, so it's more of a stamped sheet metal construction. It has a 32-round box magazine, and it fires at a rate of 550 to 600 rounds a minute. This was the standard submachine gun for the German military, no different than the American Thompson, the British Sten gun, or the Russian PPSH-41. This was issued to NCOs, officers, and anyone that had a job that prohibited them from carrying a full-size K98 rifle. Now I'm going to demonstrate how it works. Not working.
These are
Any questions?
not real rounds, correct?
The other blanks.
500 yards?
Now that you saw the MP40, it had a cousin, which was the MP41, which this Major Terry. He will explain that.
This is actually a Beretta 38. This is an Italian gun. The Italians, they made these early in the war. However, the Germans were really fond of these guns. These are a lot more handier than MP40s, and this gun has two triggers on it. The first one is for semi-auto fire, and the second is for full auto fire. The standard magazine is a 40-round box magazine, and it's a double-fed magazine. They had three models of this gun. There's the 38A, which had a 16-inch barrel, the shroud. Then they had the 3842, which had a fluted barrel about the same size as this. And this is the late war version, the 3840, 3844. So this is an open bolt gun, and it fires. So we'll do semi-auto first.
Cover your ears.
Full auto.
All these jams explain why they lost.
Any questions?
Yeah, both of them did.
They don't like blanks very much,
Next
though.
weapon we are
That's the biggest
displaying
problem.
Is that right?
is
Yeah.
the Walter P38 pistol.
Alright, Walter P38 pistol. This was one of the standard pistols of the German army during the Second World War. It feeds from a 9-round magazine, and it was issued to anybody who did not receive a standard firearm, i.e. machine gunners, cavalry, motorized transport, or tank crewmen. Choose semi-auto, double action, 9mm. Any questions?
Any GIs found with those weapons were shot and killed because it was always carried by someone important.
The next weapon
They
we
were
will be displaying
prized as souvenirs.
is our counterpart to the U.S. bazooka, which is the Pentatrek, which they'll talk about and display.
This is German?
They're not gonna fire that thing.
No. You know
This
something
here's
about
the
these things,
Rocket
huh?
to Panzer
Yeah, I'm in
Cup
I'm in the
Kunstzeck.
group. I just didn't bring my
Better known as
stuff.
the Panzer Shrek. Pretty much how this came to be is the Germans came across the Americans over in Africa. They had a little device called a bazooka. So everyone's familiar with that. Germans decided they liked the idea of a shoulder-fired recoilless weapon that was good for taking out armored vehicles. So they already had a small artillery piece that fired rockets, and they decided this rocket would be good at a shoulder-fired weapon. So instead of having developed new rockets, they made the tube and the system around the rocket. Initially, when they were issued, they didn't have this blast shield in the front. The blast shield is here. It is not bulletproof. It will not stop bullets, no matter what video games tell you. It's mostly because as the rocket's exiting the tube, it is still putting exhaust out.
Yeah.
And this is so I don't burn my face while I'm firing it.
Right?
Before they developed the shield, I'd be wearing a gas mask and some gloves just to protect myself from it. Basically had a range of about 150 to 200 meters, and with the 88mm rocket, which is a lot more hefty than the American bazooka, I could take out basically any piece of armor or any vehicle in the European theater of war. even the Russians. As long as you can hit them. A lot of times you'd operate with a two-man crew. You'd have a loader and a gunner. Tempted to go out as Panzerjäger units, so a couple of us would go out, maybe in groups of 4 or 6. We'd go hide out, look for enemy armor, hit them, run away, repeat. And here we'll kind of show you how it operates. Here's the firing mechanism for it. Unlike the American one where you have to have a battery to ignite the rocket, this one ignites it by a solenoid kind of right here. You cock it. See this mechanism right here goes back. Then when you pull the trigger, it creates an electrical charge sending the rocket forward. Demonstrate that here, so if everyone can cover your ears, it is a little loud, and
he's gonna fire?
please get out of the road just for safety reasons.
I don't think he was gonna fire it. Huh? I can't imagine it's gonna be a real thing.
Actually cover your ears.
Yeah. Ready?
Jeez.
Christ, man. It's burning your sleeve.
It is good.
Rarely the rocket would go that way.
That was the comedy of it.
The next weapon we'll be displaying is the 34.
Yep. I want to talk a little bit about one of the great force equalizers that the Germans had. So while their infantry relied mostly on the bolt-action rifles, their tactics were developed to support the slow-firing bolt actions. They had, at the time the war ran, 2 of the best light machine guns in the world. Okay, this is the later model called the MG42. 42 being the designation that they would approach. They used that the year of introduction in general service. So those came about in 1942. And then over on the truck, in an anti-aircraft configuration, is the MG34, being introduced around 1934. Now the MG34 was milled, okay, and machined. It was expensive to make. It was high quality. They used them in all of their armor on their tanks and things, because the problem with the 34, if it had one, was that it was slow to change the barrel. So they would heat up and it was slow to get a new barrel in. But tanks are a natural heat sink. So when they're up against all that steel, they wouldn't get as hot. So those were designed to be used in all the tanks. These didn't go in any of the tanks. So the 34 was used all through the war, okay? But along the way, the Germans said, let's make them cheaper. So they started stamping these out. They increased the rate of fire. They changed the way the barrel was changed on them so you could pop barrels in and out really quickly. And that was nicknamed Hitler's buzzsaw because it would sound like ripping paper when it was going off. In fact, it was quite traumatizing to U.S. troops when they hit the beaches. They had trained with American machine guns, and then they hit the beaches, and these things sounded like, you know, twice as fast. And they actually, you go on YouTube, there's an actual American YouTube video that tries to alleviate Americans' fear. It's real interesting to watch. So that's the 42, 1,200 rounds a minute. 34, about 900 rounds a minute. And let her rip.
Oh.
And the plane's down. Thank you for coming.
They tried to ease the nerves of the GIs by saying that these 8 more ammo are a lot less accurate, which they were, but compared to how many bullets they fired, it didn't really matter. It shoots way more faster than any of ours did.
Oh, did it?
Oh, hell yeah.
1,200 a minute, he said.
Some of them were even faster than that, I think.
Probably average. Yeah.
But they also had extra people carrying more ammo, so that's less people with guns.